it is a passport for confusion, because especially when you get into the siblings, and then you get the in-laws, and then you get the in-laws that work in the operation.
And the influences from outside.
The influences, you know, I know of a family organization, fairly large organization, where there are 5 brothers in the organization, and they're all married, and one brother complains that, typical of the family organization, family-run business, one brother complains that whenever we sit in the board meeting and we arrive at a conclusion, another one of his brother, in 2 nights, having spoken to his wife, comes back with a new vision to capsize the entire thinking. So everything goes crazy. So the safer way to run a family business is it should be handed over to the professionals. That the professionals make the decision, and then the family can deal with it on performance and accomplishments and achievements.
But having said that, that does not mean that there aren't family businesses in Trinidad that have been very successful.
I do not know how many I've known that have been successful, but there are some that are still carrying on. But there are those who went through their turmoils. And I do not want to get into name calling, but I can quote several organizations, family organizations, that have gone to the courts.
Is it the same in other developed societies, or in developed societies as a whole? Is it the same practice? Is it the same problem that families experience? Those who have decided that they will do the businesses themselves, the administrative part of the business, as opposed to hiring professionals. Do they encounter the same difficulties?
Exactly the same difficulties. Race, color, and creed does not make a difference. The Pakistanis and the Indians have been successful to a certain extent, where the successor was pre-trained for succession well in advance of taking over the organization. And some Pakistan and Indian organizations have made it to the top. Mittal Steel has had their own problems. Pillsbury Flour in Canada has had their own problems. McGraw-Hill has had their problems. McGraw-Hill is the world's largest printing company, I would want to think, except for the Chinese now taking over. And the only organization that I was able to come up with that has gone through 4 generations is a winery in France that has gone through 5 generations very successfully. But the success is far and few. But however, I must say that family-run organizations and privately run organizations govern more than maybe 60 or 80% of the working population worldwide.
But it's strange that in the 21st century we still have to deal with these problems, when in our own Trinidad and Tobago you have institutions that teach business ethics and business practices. You have the Institute of Business of the UWI. You have the University of the West Indies itself. There are other organizations teaching business principles. And one would have thought that at least these problems of which we speak would have been minimized to a large extent. But is that the case?
Educational institutions are only now beginning to relate to family-run organizations. Management has never been able to relate to family-run organizations, but they have related to business management on a wider scale of professionalism. But it is only now, even though more than 60 or 80% of the world population employees they are taken up by the private enterprise, Public enterprise only take about maybe about 15 or 20%. The world population is most likely 60% family-run organizations, and about 80% of the world population of employees are taken up by the private enterprise. Universities and educational institutions are only now beginning to relate to the difficulties that have arisen with family organizations.
And one would have thought, Mr. SOOKNARINE, that the world is now a playing field that is in everybody's backyard, and technology, being what it is, will make available material readily and quite easily to whomever is interested in studying. And you know, it is one way in which I believe that people, business people, family business people, should be in a position to overcome their difficulties. Earlier on in the discussion, you talked about crime. Crime as it affects businesses in Trinidad and Tobago. What are your thoughts?
I think businessmen are very frustrated. We feel very insecure. A lot of business people like myself, we are very careful about what functions we attend, where we go to in the night, even in the daytime, how we travel. It's becoming you feel very insecure, frankly speaking. And I'm not one of those who will say, I'll pack up and leave the country. I think we have to get together and see what we can do about it. It is the responsibility of everyone. Everyone, yes. Yes, but it has had a very negative impact on the economy. Many business people have left. Yes, many have left, yes. But I do not think leaving is the answer for it, because we have to find a cure for the illness. And it is an illness right now. And the only way we can find a cure is the private sector and the public sector and the politicians and the business people and the entire whole lot of us have to get together to change the way we think. Including the churches. Including the churches. Yes. Okay, so Harry SOOKNARINE is our guest this evening, as we've been telling you. We have final closing comments in just a moment after this break. Welcome back to the final moments of Trailblazers of the Caribbean. This evening our guest is Mr. Harry SOOKNARINE. So we have just a few minutes to conclude this program. And as I recall, many years ago, listening to the radio, I would hear about Harry Crete, the hard is hard. Yes. That's how people remember Harry SOOKNARINE. I think so. Yes. You ventured also into the cement business. Yes. What brought about that inquisition? I think that came about by accident. Cariflex had been quite a success, and my incapacity was taking me through the United States. I was heavily involved with the Philadelphia Research Unit on the nervous system, and it is a neurological problem that I came down with. And I was on my way to San Francisco with a friend to see another doctor there who was heavily involved in the acupuncture business and things like that. And I was parked in a car, not on the driver's side, and there was this truck coming back, backing up in the car park. And he was I thought he would have run over the car, and I had my leg problem and my impediment, so it was not a case of opening the door and run out. But he parked that car that trailer so neatly, maybe about 6 or 8 inches, away from each car. And then he came out and he told me, I never forgot this one. He says, "You were scared, eh?" I said, "Sure, I was scared." He said, "Well, when I park him, I park him." He's making fun of it, and here am I at the verge of having to most likely change my underwear.
Yes.
So I remember that. And then I spoke with him, and then I asked him, what do you have in those sacks and those bags? He said, that's dry packaged concrete. That's how you mean dry concrete? Concrete will get hard. He said, no, it's dehydrated concrete. We dehydrate the aggregate and the sand, and then we add the cement into it, and we can formulate various types of very, strong concrete. And then that discussion there took me to Connecticut. When I got to Connecticut, I studied concrete there for maybe about 2 months before coming home. And then after that, I did a lot of research and educating myself on the production of quality concrete and cement. And then I came and opened Harry.
So you brought the technology to Trinidad.
That's right. Yes.
Today, the hardware stores are saying that there is a shortage. The builders, the contractors, people who in their own homes want the material are saying they are having difficulty. This must be a good time for you.
This is interesting. Let me briefly say that Trinidad has lost the opportunity to have an alternate cement on the market. I tried to put in an alternate cement on the market, and I do not think it was readily accepted. I do not think the cement company lost one job, and I do not think they lost any money. I think what Trinidad lost is the opportunity to have an alternate cement on the market. Whether government failed, or the private sector failed, or the hardware failed, or TCL succeeded, it is not something I want to comment on this stage. But I hardly think that we will see another alternate cement on the market, and TCL will remain a monopoly, and we will have to pay the price of that. When I got into cement, TCL had sold cement for $15.50 a bag. When I got out of cement, cement was selling at $23 a bag, $23.50 a bag. Today, a bag of cement to the consumer is more than $40 a bag. And that's the price we have to pay for it, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Where is the construction industry now? Every which way you turn, there's a building going up. Where is it taking us?
It is taking us through a very difficult road, because I do not know, you hear the governor of the central bank making comments that too much money is being spent on construction. But from a businessman's point of view, I would say, if we invest money that does not bring us a return, and we invest too much money on infrastructure and structures, we are going to find ourselves in problems sooner or later.
We have just a few seconds to close the show, and you talked about a new vision. You are saying that the people are asking for a new vision in this country. What is your quick prescription for Trinidad and Tobago?
There has to be a new thinking, and there has to be a completely new direction and a completely new vision. We cannot succeed in the direction we are going. It has to change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harry SOOKNARINE. Well, I'm sure that we all will agree that all sorts of difficulties could stand in the way to success, but that's just what they are, complications. And if we tried the correct solutions, perhaps we could overcome every obstacle. That's what Harry SOOKNARINE did, for which we congratulate him and ask you to use the secret of his success to make your own life a little more meaningful. In simple language, Mr. SOOKNARINE has distinguished himself as one of the outstanding trailblazers of the Caribbean. Thank you for watching, and good night.